Hi, everyone. I'm Cary Wright, CEO of Good Reason Houston. We're an organization dedicated to ensuring every child in every neighborhood of Houston has access to a great public school, one that prepares them to thrive in the Houston of tomorrow. In a region where public schools educate 1 in 5 school-aged children in Texas, what happens here matters, not just for our students, but for our city, our state, and our country. Today, I'm excited to bring you a special behind the numbers conversation with Dr. LaTonya Goffney, the superintendent of Aldine ISD. Under her leadership, Aldine's been tackling some of the most persistent challenges facing public education, while also pushing forward ambitious strategies to accelerate student learning, strengthen teacher recruitment and retention, and expand opportunities beyond the classroom. Dr. Goffney's bold leadership is all the more critical for a district like Aldine, where 92% of the 60,000 students enrolled are considered economically disadvantaged, and 45% are considered emergent bilingual or English language learners. We'll dig into the story behind the district's progress, the innovative approaches being tried, and how Aldine's navigating the broader changes happening across public education in Texas. So, whether you're an educator, a policymaker, or someone who cares about the future of our community, I think you'll find this conversation both insightful and inspiring. And so, let's get into it. Dr. Goffney, welcome. Great to see you.
Good to see you as well. Happy new school year.
Happy new school year. We're recording this on the at the beginning of the school year, the first week. I know you've been all out and about across Aldine. So, how are things looking?
Oh, it's exciting. I'm so excited about this new year. I coined it on social media. This is going to be the best year yet.
Oh, that's great. Something to look forward to. Well, a lot of our conversation today will kind of jump into some of the different numbers in terms of progress and what's driving those numbers. But I think it's really important that we start with who is Aldine ISD. So could you kind of give us a start by just telling us a little bit more about the Aldine community? Who is Aldine ISD? What makes it so special?
Cary, when I talk to my colleagues across the country and even some of them across the state, I have to explain to them that there's no Aldine, Texas. Aldine ISD is located in the north side of Houston, Texas. And so when you fly into Bush Intercontinental Airport, you're in the middle of Aldine, the Aldine ISD. I say all the time, too, that we're 111 square miles of opportunity. And this opportunity exists as the fact that there is no affluence within our district. You said it at the top of the program that nearly 9 out of 10 of our students are considered economically disadvantaged. To kind of drive that fact home, of our 76 schools, 100% of our campuses are Title I. Yeah. And so when you think about the Houston area, or think about Texas in general, we're the 12th largest district in Texas and the 5th largest in the region. And so we recognize that if we get it right here in Aldine ISD, it pretty much lifts up the entire region. And one of the things that I just said to our new teachers, and I've said it every year that I've been here since 2018, we're not responsible for how students come to us, but we're responsible for how they leave us.
Yeah. And getting it right is what y'all are doing. I mean, you're doing incredible work. I think we're having our conversation today on the heels of the state releasing its new round of school and district accountability data. So in our state, we have an A through F campus and district rating system. And the state has released the most recent 2 years of data. I think it's exciting to share that from Aldine's standpoint. I guess a little more than 2 years ago, you were in a position where around half of the schools in Aldine were rated D and F. And with this most recent round of ratings, you've significantly reduced your D and F schools. Now you only have 4 F-rated campuses in the entire district. And what's super exciting is across all school levels, elementary, middle, high school, there are now more A and B rated schools and students attending A and B rated schools than ever before. So I think that's the thing to underscore and highlight is more kids in Aldine today are attending great A and B rated public schools than ever before. That's definitely a testament to you and your team. But want to kind of hear you share, like putting that into context for us as a superintendent, why do these ratings matter at all? How do these ratings help you kind of develop a bigger picture of what's going on in your district? And I know you've talked a lot about setting a future where kids have more choices and opportunities. So what does information like this help you know better?
I know we all know that our students and the work sometimes can't be quantified in a test. But what we also know is when you talked about our improvement over time, I'll never forget after the accountability reset and star redesign and getting the initial results for 2023, it was gut wrenching to see all of the work that was ahead post COVID. But what I can tell you is, as we look at 2025 and we've started this year, and we can talk about strategic plans and we can talk about different priorities that we've had. What accountability does is gives you, we had the baseline in 2023, and then we set the expectation that we grow every single student every single day. So when you look at, and you, as you alluded to earlier, our progress over the last couple of years, it has been exactly what we said we were going to do. We have to accelerate student outcomes. I said earlier that we're not responsible for how students come to us, and we can't use poverty as an excuse. We have to be focused on growing every child. And the fact that we have leaders and we have teachers who have bought into that, that accountability to ourselves and that accountability to our community becomes extremely important. And as you just stated, zero elementary F-rated schools, zero F-rated high schools, and decrease significantly the middle schools. We have a lot to celebrate, even though we have a lot of work to do.
It's so exciting. And I just think for families in Aldine to know that more families than ever before are getting to send their children to A and B rated schools is such a testament to your leadership, to the hard work of all the teachers and educators around the district. So congratulations to y'all. And we'll definitely jump more into what are some of the things driving those changes. But maybe first, just kind of take us back to when you started in this position as superintendent of Aldine. I think back in 2018. Obviously, we've lived like 9 lives since then. Maybe you've lived even more lives as a superintendent,
It feels
but
like it. It
give
feels
us a
like
sense of like what was happening, what ahas did you have, and what commitments did you make as you were sort of setting into your leadership and over time that's really gotten you to where you are today?
I'll never forget just coming in, just wide-eyed and with excitement in 2018 as a new superintendent of Aldine ISD. At that time, I had 10 years of experience as a superintendent in a rural area and then mid-sized area and other school districts. But when I came in, the one thing that fascinated me, number one, was just the opportunity to make a difference and recognizing that although we had some challenges, we also had some opportunities and some strengths. And the fact that when I would listen to our parents, when I listened to our community as we did our hopes, dreams, and aspirations tour, and we got to hear those from our parents for their students. We got to hear from our community what they wanted for our district. I knew that we could do the work. Now, I'll be honest, I probably was I thought I was going to be able to do it one way. And I'll tell you what helped enhance my approach and accelerate my thinking and expose me to how do you take a district that is so unique for so many reasons. And I recognize that every superintendent, every district thinks that their district is unique. But for Texas, Aldine is a unique school. And so we need to look at what was possible and how we're going to get better faster. And I'll never forget having a meeting with Good Reason Houston, which was just leading
Back in the day,
that
yeah.
time. Back in the day, it sounds crazy, crazy, crazy. And we had a long conversation about some of the things that we could do to get better fast. I remember walking through and launching our first strategic plan. And I'm really excited, really proud that prior to COVID, we were some of the earliest innovators in the area. We recognized that we had to get reading instruction right. Reading is very personal to me. I share the story of how my grandfather couldn't read. He wrote his name with an X, and he used to tell me, Tanya, you can read, you can go anywhere. And I looked at where we were as far as literacy and knew that we had to take some bold action there. And but I also knew that anytime you change curriculum and change the way things have been done for some time, it's going to take work and also have to get buy-in. But I also knew that our kids, they couldn't wait. And so I'm really thankful, again, that we were one of the first in the state, certainly the first in the area to launch high quality instruction materials and even start thinking about the quality of our materials and the impact of literacy materials. When I look back and I think about some of those early years as we wanted to take our lowest performing schools and take some bold actions. And so at that time, no district in the Houston area had launched Accelerating Campus Excellence ACE model. So we went to go see a model in Dallas. And I just remember going in and like, okay, I want that for all of our kids as well. And so we were able to launch that in 2019. And the other problem we were trying to solve is at the time, and again, this was pre-COVID, so it's kind of funny now, we wanted to think about how can we stop the summer learning slide, because we recognize that in the affluent areas and the suburbs and some of the other districts, their kids go off and they have these summer learning experiences and so on and so forth. And we wanted to be able to create those at our district for our students. And so we were looking at the additional day school year. And so we were one of the first to launch that as well. And so we were doing a lot of different things while also building and putting in the things that were going to be done universally for every single school, whether it was expectations, hiring, building the leadership capacity, and doing all those different things, but taking bold actions as well, as we were one of the members of the system of great schools. And so just proud of the work that we've done. And we're seeing glimmers of improvement. Actually, we were seeing a lot of improvement, then COVID hit, and then, I mean, the bottom fell out. And that's the truth of the matter. And so as we worked since COVID, we've been intentional about doubling down on those bold actions and making sure that we were laser focused on our North Star, and that is growing every kid every single day. And so when accountability came out, as I stated earlier, with the refresh and star redesign in 2023, it was tough to see those 21F campuses, because it wasn't indicative of the work that was happening. It didn't show all of the hard work. It didn't show all of the focus. It didn't show all of the investments. But I knew that we were doing the right work, but it was gonna take time. And so to be here in 2023 and to be able to celebrate the improvement and the growth, it feels good. It makes us excited about getting even better next year and the following years.
Yeah, it's been amazing to see since we started working together in 2018. And I think we always talk at Good Reason Houston about wanting to ensure our region becomes the leading education region in the country. And that means putting more kids on a path to economic opportunity because of the great education they're getting access to every day. And I know that's so squarely in line with your vision that you've led with from day one around more choices and opportunities for every student. So when I think of all the different things you all have moved forward, it's always done from my seat with your commitment to a bold vision, belief you have in the possibility of every student, and an urgency on, like, we're not going to wait to get things moving in motion because kids need that opportunity now. So It's so encouraging to see evidence of some of that starting to really show up for every child, every family, and every community of Aldine. So kudos. You talked a little bit about ACE. And so one thing that I know you all have really thought about is a lot of different what are called school actions. So things you can do on campuses to really help provide a higher degree of service, support to families and to students on those campuses. And these school actions can look different varieties. But one of them is the Accelerating Campus Excellence effort, or what's called ACE. Tell me a little bit about kind of how did the ACE strategy play out? How are those campuses doing today? And kind of what have you learned from that type of school action?
From day one, again, we're 111 square miles, and I recognize that I've always believed in choice. We want to be the best choice for the students that we serve and any other student who wants a public school experience. And so one of the ways that we have to do that, though, is we have to make sure that our lowest performing schools don't remain low performing. And so that was one of the most bold actions that we were taking as a system of great school. And so I alluded to earlier, we went to go see it. And when you got to go see it in action and see what was possible, you couldn't unsee it. And so we immediately came back to launch it, but it takes a lot of resources. It takes a lot of support. And I'm so thankful that we had a Good Reason Houston back then to help provide us with structure and provide us with support, and also provide us with the resources so that we can incentivize the highest performing principals, so we can incentivize the best teachers to come to our lowest performing schools. And so we've done it. And when I tell you that it has been incredible, though Goodman and Worsham were historically our two lowest performing campuses in our district, and now they're among the highest performing. We are also grateful that because of the things that we learned through the work for Goodman and Worsham, we've able to also apply those to some of our schools across the system, whether it's the strategic staffing, which is absolutely critical for school transformation. We have to have great teachers. And that's one of the things that I feel like we don't talk a lot about, but one of the ways in which we're going to be able to get better even faster, because we are making sure that we are attracting the best teachers, making sure they have the most exposure to the most kids, and provide them with the support so that they can be impactful.
And that's big work, right? To figure out how to redesign all of your systems to identify, encourage, reward your most effective teachers to work with the kids that need them most. Like, that's big work, takes a lot of time and effort. So
it does. And we're about to launch another ACE campus now. And but because they've seen how we did it initially, it was much easier the second time around, because they could see, okay, this is what this means. It doesn't mean I'm going to be thrown into a situation without support. It means that I'm going to have these expectations, and I'm excited about them because they're good for kids. And so we're thankful too, with the recent legislation that's going to allow us to draw down some additional funding through what's called the Resource Campus designation. And so our Goodman and Worsham support was supposed to be eliminated in the next year, but we're able to continue through that. And then, as I stated earlier, we're launching another ACE campus at Caraway, and we're utilizing some additional funding through the state. So really thankful because we know that it works. We know that if you're going to have true turnaround, it starts with having the best leaders, the best teachers. We have to provide additional time, and there has to be some mental health supports, and then of course some extracurricular activities. Those pillars haven't changed. They haven't changed. And so, but it's helping us to change the school experience for the students that we serve.
Maybe this is kind of asking you to repeat back a version of what you said, but if you think of, the districts and leaders that are really struggling with campuses that are consistently not meeting the needs of students and families, that aren't yet in a place where they're providing them that type of support to see that academic growth and support, like what advice would you have for those superintendents or board members or community members who are looking at a campus and saying, like, what do we need to do here? Like, how do we need to think differently, be differently, act differently to create a different future for the families that depend on that school?
Well, it's a reminder for all of us who are leaders and all of us who are in the public school space, the things that matter. It's not programs, it's not buying this initiative or whatever. It's things that we actually absolutely have control over, and that is the best leader, of course, the best teachers, providing strong instructional support that is not literally where you're going and putting things off of teacher pay teacher or going to Pinterest and putting different lessons. We have to have high quality instructional materials, whatever you want to call it. It has to be a level of rigor that's going to push our students who have historically been underperforming. We have to have additional time. Time is so precious. It's the one thing that helps change the trajectories for students who aren't born in print-rich environments and don't have a level of support to be able to go to different camps and different things. So we have to provide those types of experiences.
And it's quality time, right? It's like quality instruction
Absolutely.
happening in that extra time. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. And then, of course, when you serve marginalized populations, there are different levels of support that are absolutely necessary. Many of us don't think about it for our own children because we have privilege that we don't even recognize, whether it's the ability to go to a doctor or to go to get eyeglasses or to go and talk to a counselor. Whatever our child or our own personal children need, we're able to provide it personally. But in our school system, we can't leave it to chance. So whether there's food insecurity or healthcare access that's a challenge, or even mental health supports and different things that help our students to show up as their best selves and be well, we have to provide those different types of supports. And we do that in the context of the public school system.
Well, a lot of that, so the ACE work, a lot of that was taking shape at mostly elementary, some high school level as well, but really kind of transitioned to high school for a beat. I know just 2 years ago, Aldine had 5 D or F rated high schools. And with the latest ratings, Aldine now has no D or F rated high schools. And high school turnaround, quote unquote, turnaround success stories are so uncommon. So many people are going to be deeply curious to know, how did Aldine accomplish this? And I think that's such a testament, again, to your vision of making sure that kids are getting a path to an opportunity. That especially has to be true at high school, where those critical foundations are being set up for kids to have opportunities in their post-secondary space, in their early career and beyond. So tell us a little bit about what's been happening at the high school level.
It's one of those things that it became a tagline. It kind of, but I didn't want it to just be a tagline. But I always say that we want students to graduate with more than a high school diploma. We want them to graduate with choices and opportunities, and that's so incredibly important for the students that we serve and for all students. And so, but how do you make that happen? How do you ensure that it happens? And so, we're really thankful for the work that we've been doing with our high schools. You said earlier that to have no F high schools, no D high schools, all of our high schools are ranked A, B, and C, and that includes our comprehensive high schools. And we know that there'll be some preliminary ratings that come out, and we did have a situation in which we had to contact TEA and look at, there was a technical error, and so when everything's finalized, when the official ratings come out, literally we will have no D or F high school, and that gives me so much hope and so much excitement for the teachers who've done incredible work, but the students who are literally graduating with choices and opportunities. So when we look back on our work and what it's meant to kind of, like I said, it started out as a tagline, graduate with more choices and opportunities, but the work that we've been able to do. We started off, we needed additional resources, additional funding, and we were able to get that and launch our post-secondary outcomes work. And literally, when we think about the fact that we have increased our number of TSIA passers, we've increased our college access partnerships, whether through Emerge, One Goal, see what we've aligned our CTE pathways, and we've increased the number of students in our dual enrollment and dual credit, and our work with Lone Star and Harris HCC and other community colleges has been instrumental in making sure our kids are graduating with associate's degrees, and not just in our specialty schools, but through all of our schools. It is exciting because it's quantifiable, and it is, when we think about the class of 2020, only 46% of our students were graduating CCM already. And for our class of 2024, we had over 80% of our students CCM already. And we're even more excited to share that for the class of 2025, we're projected to be over 90% CCM already. And so, as I stated earlier, we're invested in high quality CTE and IBC pathways and all the different things that are offered throughout our district. And we're also proud of the work that we're doing in our classrooms. Our district outgrew or lost less than the state in all 5 EOCs. And so not only are we getting growth, but we're also seeing the movement and the magic that's happening in those high school classrooms that's helping to prepare them for more choices and opportunities, as I stated, after they graduate.
That's awesome. And something that maybe we can zero in on quickly is, we talk about being college, career, military ready. One really tangible way you all are doing that from the standpoint of making students career and life ready is through this incredible HEAL partnership, which is a health sciences focused high school that was developed in partnership with Bloomberg Philanthropies and Memorial Hermann. And I remember when we were talking about, hey, is this ever something Aldine would be interested in? You about fell out of your chair saying, when do we get it here? Yeah. But tell folks that may not know about that partnership a little bit about, like, what is it? Why is it such a fit for Aldine? And where does it, it's kind of one part of this bigger story of how are you readying more kids for opportunity after a high school diploma?
You know what? Again, I'm so thankful that the stars aligned and Aldine was selected. And I think there's only 10 or 11 across the country that received this money from Bloomberg and these different partnerships. And I'm so grateful, so thankful for Memorial Hermann being the partner, because they've been an ideal partner. They've done everything they said they were going to do as we were writing the grant. And we've been able to accomplish so much in the last couple of years that it is definitely worth writing and talking about. When we think about where we're doing it too, I think that is the piece that is equally as important. It's a healthcare desert. Our students don't have access. And so the fact that they don't have access doesn't mean that they can't dream about being in the field, and recognizing that Memorial Hermann needs more nurses. They need more students who are graduating ready to work in the medical field. So we're really excited about the work that's being done and how it starts day one. The minute they sign up, they spend the whole summer working with Memorial Hermann, doing different experiences, visiting their campus and getting exposed to health education occupations. And then once they made their decision, whether it's through, it doesn't necessarily, if you don't like blood, you have administration. If you do like blood, you have nursing.
That's
you
the
have
dividing line, huh? Yeah.
physical and occupational therapy. I mean, you name it. And these are high wage jobs, high wage jobs. So it's so exciting for our students and for what's possible. So when you think about, you have nursing, you have medical imagery, rehab, pharmacy tech, which of course you can, any college that you go to, there's a pharmacy that's near so they can become certified as in pharmacy tech. And then of course, as I stated earlier, healthcare administration. So really thankful for this opportunity, what it's going to mean for our kiddos, because once they finish and they've gone through this experience and they have a mentor, they know someone, because many times it's crazy.
That's part of the secret sauce. Yeah.
That's part of the secret sauce, knowing someone who can help you navigate what's possible for their futures. And so they are definitely going to graduate with choices and opportunities. And I have a feeling that Memorial Hermann is going to make sure that they hire every single one of them.
And again, it makes me think of, again, a district like Aldine, 60,000 students, 9 out of 10 of whom are growing up in poverty. And you all are not just focused on the big academic preparation, which is showing through in your data, but doing the real work of connecting students with these incredible life-changing opportunities through things like this HEAL partnership. And I think, for a system as large and vast as Aldine, we don't all get to know every part of that story every day, but y'all get to live it and lead it every day. So thanks for what you're doing.
Yeah, and we're excited about that piece, and we have other opportunities, and we can talk about that on another podcast or
Yeah.
connecting activity because we have Rose Avalos P-Tech, we have Davis where we're training pilots and partnering with different ones, but exciting about the work that's happening at our high schools.
Well, a lot of what we talked about today are the A through F school ratings, but want to kind of back up just a little bit to talk some about STAR. So STAR is our state assessment. The data came out earlier this summer. We really look at how are students doing across third through eighth grade and in high school. And one thing that was so incredible is that Aldine had some of the highest STAR growth in the entire Houston region in 3 through 8 reading and in Algebra 1 in particular. 3 through 8 reading scores grew by, I think, about 7 points, and Algebra 1 scores grew by 8 points, which is just incredible and pretty much unheard of with a lot of urban district improvement. So, reflecting on the reading and math instruction, what would you say drove all this growth in the district? What are things that folks should take away as what they could implement in their system or things to know about that you all have really been pioneering?
I'm very proud of the work of our leaders and, of course, our teachers that I can't speak more highly of. They're bought into making sure that we grow every single child. And I'll be honest, the work has been grueling because it's been more or less bombarded with challenges, whether it was COVID or it was this or it was that. And so I'm so thankful. I think I told you a year or so ago, I was excited to have just a normal school year so we can get back to the work. I remember when we were considering HQIM after we traveled around the country and we're looking at different models and different districts that serve communities that look like ours, Black, Brown, and students of poverty. And we were seeing what was possible. We wanted that in our district. And so I remember having to pretty much at that time work around even TEA. I remember discussing the knowledge gap with the commissioner, and he knew that I had just gone into this district and I was really hyper focused on literacy and thinking about what we were doing at the state, but I couldn't wait even for the state to be able to help. But I'm thankful for the work that we did then. And we actually launched, I don't think people realize this, but we launched HQIM during COVID. Our year one for HQIM was during the year that we shut down. We were actually going out to visit different schools in that February before we closed down in March. And we had to make a decision. Do we wait until we could deal with this COVID thing? Or do we do the hard work right now and deal with the COVID thing? So
Maybe for people that don't like fully understand HQIM, they may think, oh, well, this is just adopting a new curriculum. But tell me, like, give somebody an understanding of like all the component parts when you say it's crazy that we were trying to launch HQIM as we were moving into a virtual world. It's like there's so many parts and pieces that go into adopting high quality instructional materials, right?
So we were moving away from it as a former language arts teacher. And again, I'm not trying to argue those different points with anybody. I just know from my own experience, we used to just adopt a textbook. We would decide we're going to grab this textbook, and typically it was based off of how many consumables we could get or who had the best little materials. But we were on a search to see who could literally help build those foundational skills, who could help us to make sure that we were providing a structured approach to phonics, who could help us to basically manifest what we had done was come up with our literacy plan. We have approach to literacy things that we found foundational. We went through a whole year of looking at how had approached literacy in the past and how we're going to approach it in the future. And so we needed high quality instructional materials that weren't based on students' reading level at the time, but based on the fact that if you're a fourth grader, we wanted the most rigorous approach and have the most rigorous experience to access complex texts. And so we had to first design what our literacy approach was for our district. Then we had to go out and find an approach that fit that design. And then we had to train teachers who to invest in this new approach. And so it wasn't just as simple as moving from phonics to whole language. It wasn't as simple as thinking about building a crosswalk. It was literally trying to change how people thought about it and what they believed about what kids can learn and the quality of the materials they should have access to. And so we did it all during COVID. And so thankful that we did, because by the time our kids were back in person, it was exciting to see. I can still remember, and again, we could spend a whole session on this as well. I remember visiting our middle schools and they had novels, and they were so excited about the novels that they were reading and that they had access to. And so since then, we've had to tweak, we've had to assess, but we've continued to move forward. And I believe that is why we're seeing the gains that we've seen in third to eighth reading. Our work is still tough, it's still hard when we think about the fact that 48% of our students are emerging bilingual, and we have an approach to dual language that is making sure that our students become bilingual, biliterate, and bicultural. And so some of the materials to support that approach haven't been designed yet, but I'm really excited that TEA is working to address that. But again, I can't speak enough about the work that our teachers have done and bought into growing every child every day.
What about on the math front? I know you all are also doing such great things as evidenced by a lot of your Algebra 1 progress, but I know the work starts before Algebra 1. So kind of where are y'all there? How are you thinking about that?
So what we did in general, one of the things when I first got into Aldine is looking at the percentage of students who were considered gifted. I mean, it's a conversation that most districts don't have to think about because you have parents and others who nominate their kids for giftedness. And so thinking about advanced academics everywhere from elementary all the way to high school, and then looking at opportunities for our kids to be Algebra 1 ready by eighth grade. And so you couldn't start in eighth grade, you couldn't start in seventh grade. So we had to back it up all the way to elementary and give them more opportunities to do rigorous level math, which started with our adoption of the curriculum at the time. And so now, as you see those gains, again, it's not by accident, it's through the work that has been done as we've been on this journey to make sure our kids can do hard things. A lot of times when you're from poverty or you have more challenges, sometimes you have people who don't want you to do hard work, but we are literally pushing our kids to grow and to do their very best. And consequently, we're seeing the gains that we're seeing, including in Algebra 1. We have more kids who are taking Algebra 1 in eighth grade, and very proud of that, and just more excited about the advanced math pathways from fifth through eighth, and even beginning in elementary school and our approach to primary as well.
I think it's also just, encouraging that you're taking an approach that's also so research backed. I mean, even our own research here at Good Reason Houston, in January, we put out a report looking at the graduates of Houston area public high schools and kind of what happened to them in terms of their post-secondary outcomes, how many went on to earn a living wage. And one of the things we found that was actually connected to the likelihood of earning a living wage after graduating from high school was whether or not you took Algebra 1 in eighth grade. So for those that don't follow these things as closely, they may think, well, this feels just like a difference without significance. But it's like, no, it matters. There's evidence that shows when kids can be put in front of that rigorous advanced coursework at an even earlier age, it has long-term benefits to them beyond their high school diploma, well into their early career and after. So great work y'all are doing there. Anything else on the STAR or school accountability front that's on your mind that we didn't talk about before we cover a couple other things looking forward?
Excited about the fact that we have no F-rated elementary or high schools, that all of our high schools are A, B, and C, that we decreased the number of F middle schools, and even the four Fs from 21 to four Fs that are fours, we already have a plan in place. So we are confident that they will no longer be Fs. And we talk about the Fs, but I think the part that, and we talked about it, but I want to make sure that everyone understands that the fact that we've had improvement in accountability in our STAR that translates to real tangible choices and opportunities for more of our students. We have twice as many students in A and B schools across our district, and we're more than doubling the number of students on the path to just, again, graduating with those choices and opportunities. And so I just want to make sure that while we focus many times on eliminating the DRFs, but the fact that is just as important or more important is that we have more kids learning in A and B schools. In addition, we are working really hard and thinking through, and I'm thankful that the accountability system allows for growth. Really thankful that it allows for growth and achievement. And when you think about the fact that in our district, we are focused on growing every single child, every single day, we recognize that growth over time is going to also help us to catch up with achievement, which is one of my main goals as we think about how we outgrew or lost less than the state in most of the areas for STAR. While we're proud of that, our goal is still to catch up to that achievement level. We want to make sure that we're at the state average. And I know that we can do it. I believe that we're on the right path to get it done.
Well, maybe speaking of that, kind of give us a sense of what's the flavor of what's ahead for the next 1 or 2 years. What's on your docket for things you're going to be really focused on, thinking about pushing forward?
Well, for one, we won't have an F school, and I know this is time stamped, and you can play it. We will not have any F schools. We won't have. We'll make sure that we continue to grow every single child every single day, and we're focused on that day one. We have a plan in place. We have the support in place necessary to make sure that our teachers are more equipped and more skilled to give that top tier one instruction. And then we have interventions in place so where we're able to respond immediately and not have to wait. And then we have supports that are in place to make sure that we're growing again every single child every single day. So we're really excited about what that's going to mean for accountability, but more excited about what it's going to mean for choices and opportunities for the students that we serve. We're also excited about some of the different opportunities that our students are going to have in our schools, whether it's coding opportunities, more STEM activities, more different choices that are in their neighborhood schools. As I stated earlier, CCMR is very important. I recognize that if we can get our students while they're with us, if we can have them, we have a college for all goal. Every single child is going to graduate with at least 9 college hours and still have a pathway to an associate's degree at every single one of our schools. That's going to still continue to be a priority. And again, thinking about how we can again continue to accelerate growth. 1 year's growth is not good enough for us. We have to accelerate growth. And that means that we have to know every single student by name, strength, and need. And it's evident when you walk into our classrooms, and I can't wait for you to come walk our classes and see the level of detail that's evident from the administration all the way down to the student level of how we're going to make sure that we're growing every kid. That's what excites me.
Awesome. Maybe then on a personal note, I know you've been in the game of education for a minute. So like, as you're starting this year, what's giving you optimism? What's giving you hope and inspiration about the work and why it matters?
That's a great question, Cary, and I certainly appreciate it. We started school, of course. Our ACE school started about a week ago. Our ADSY school started a couple of weeks ago. But for the majority of our students, we started school on Monday. And every day since Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I've gone out and I have visited a classroom. And it's kind of nostalgic, because I look back and I started teaching in 1999. I'll never forget my first year as a teacher. I'm so glad they didn't have social
media. Talking
about
Y2K, we were all worried about, yeah.
1999, I was an 8th grade language arts teacher in Cold Spring, and I spent the whole summer pouring my heart into preparing, painting the classrooms, hanging curtains, gathering resources, piecing together curriculum, trying to figure out, I don't even know curriculum. I'm a first-year teacher, but, I had this challenge to improve student outcomes, and I'll just never forget the faces of my students that first day. And so as I was walking through the classrooms and talking with all of our teachers, and again, I've probably visited 30, 40 classrooms, but to see the excitement on our students' faces, but mirrored in, kids come to us kindergarten, first grades, all the grades, even the first days, excited about learning. But what I'm thankful for, and I know it's through intentional work, is how our teachers have been able to respond. So I see the work that we've been doing. You were able to see evidence of our HQIM living out loud. We were able to see the fact that we launched Teach Like a Champion. You were able to see the different things and the different decisions that we made, maybe in a boardroom or in a meeting room, evidence in all the classrooms. And that truly, truly excited me. So when I think about the other excitement was, I talk about 2023 and what was, and we recognize that the number of F schools we had at that time, and sometimes you see the fact that we went from 21 Fs to 4 Fs and no elementary, no high school, and you see it on paper, but to really get to see it by visiting the classroom. So every single classroom, to walk on the campuses and go into the classrooms and see that all of our students are receiving higher quality instruction and learning in higher rated schools, that truly, truly, truly excited me.
We are doing amazing work. Keep it up. Houston's lucky to have you leading the charge in our region. So thank you so much for sticking with it, doing great work every day that's inspiring students and teachers around the region. But that's really all that we have for today's time, for today's Behind the Numbers conversation. A big thank you to Dr. LaTonya Goffney for joining me, for sharing your perspective on Aldine ISD's progress, and the work ahead to ensure every student continues to get the opportunities that they deserve each and every day. If you want to learn more about Aldine's efforts, explore district and regional data, or see what else is happening to shape education outcomes across the Houston area, head to goodreasonhouston.org. You'll find stories, reports, and insights on how we can keep building a city where every child, no matter their neighborhood, has access to a great public school. And again, Dr. Goffney, it was so great to hear straight from the source on all the incredible things that are happening for more than 60,000 students every day in Houston. So thanks so much for all you do. We appreciate it, and good luck for the rest of the year.
Thank y'all so much.